Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Actually, I've got a bit of a busy day today, but it's still Friday. And we are getting close to that festive time of the year. Just saying. If you are watching, do please pop a hello in the comments as usual. Today's talk is all about animal magic. One of my favourite subjects. Feel like I say that quite a lot. Do have a lot of favourite subjects. Good morning, Ruby. Good morning. So yeah, animals today. Animal magic. Seasonal animal magic. Do you work with particular animals depending on the weather, the seasons? Do you work with animals on a regular basis? Do you have particular specific animals you work with for particular reasons? You know the routine. You know the routine. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Luna. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Maria. Now, we have had snow this week. We have the tiniest amount of snow ever, but it is quite cold today. Eric was not impressed. He does not like rain. He has now decided he doesn't like snow either. Hey ho. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Patricia. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Angela. Yeah, animals today, animal magic. Do you work with any animal in particular? How do you work with them? Do you work with them as guides? Do you work with them as messengers? Do you work with them in magic? Do you work with them in spell working? That's the subject for today. Good morning, Karen. Patricia, frosty in East Yorkshire. Yeah, it's cold here today in Hampshire. Good morning, Angela from very snowy Brittany. First snow we've had in 4 years. We had a flurry, is probably the best way to describe it. A brief flurry, and then it was just wet. Janet got snow early today. There is a lot of it across the lands. But, it's nearing the end of November, so it's to be expected. Unless you're obviously in the Southern Hemisphere, then probably not so much. It's coming up to my favourite time of the year. I have to warn you, for the next few weeks, there will be festive jumpers. Just saying. Good morning, Nita. It is a tad chilly today. Yes, it is indeed. I've got a lot of ferrying about backwards and forwards to do today, so I should be in the car quite a lot with the heater on. Maria had a brief flurry too. Yeah, that's pretty much all we had. Good morning, Karen. Angela says, icy here today in Pendle. We did have snow. You're a bit further up north than us southerners. And I'm very near the ocean. We don't tend to get snow that settles very often. There's a whole, eco thing reason for it, I believe. Emma, 2 degrees at the moment, which was 2 degrees higher than yesterday. Does feel like it's 2 degrees. Good morning, Emily. Good morning. Good morning, Cos. Catch up later on the big telly. No, don't do that. I'm better at a distance. So yes, animals today, animal magic. This was a Pagan Portals that I wrote a while back. It's an introduction to animal magic. I have to obviously tell you there is a bigger animal magic book coming. I have signed a contract for one. But there's so much going on at the moment. Writing books it's got shoved a bit low down the list. I am planning on slotting more writing time in, but there's a bigger animal magic book coming, but don't hold your breath for it the minute. This one's an introduction, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Good old animal magic. Right, let's see where we are going. Right, let's get some of these up. Ruby, don't work with animals particularly, but my Dachshund, Henry, passed 40 years ago, came through in a reading this year. Oh, bless him. Bless him. Nita, what are the discs on my shelves? Now you have to go back to last week's talk and I show them in detail. They are salt dough discs that I made to represent several of the ancient Britain goddesses. So you'll have to look back to last week's chat. I do show them in detail. Good morning, David. Bit fragile this morning. We were down the Brixton O2 to see Razor. Like you party animal, you didn't get home till 1:40. Oh, that's far too late. Angela had -1 yesterday with a real feel of -10. Oh, that's a little bit nippy. Maria's got her kitty on her, so can't get up to turn the heating on. That is a valid excuse. Jane, no snow in beautiful downtown Romford, just noise from people building another story onto their houses. It's never ending. Yes, we've got that behind us at the moment. House behind us. Karen, we think our past cats are teasing Bessie. Ah, yeah. Spirit cats teasing alive dogs. Sounds like a worthy, whatever the word is, thing. I'm no words today. Good morning, Jackie. Oh, positive energy to you lot. Come on, let's sort this out. Onwards and upwards. So yes, animal magic. Now, if you know anything about me at all, you will know that wild boar, my pixie made wild boar, on my necklace, on my bracelet, made by the fabulous Pixie Maid. Wild boar has walked with me for many, many years. There is a story, and I'm probably going back over 20 years now. I was doing a course, and the course was specifically to introduce you to masculine energy. So, where I'd been working an awful lot with the goddess, as you do, hadn't really worked or come across any gods. So, I didn't write the course, I was working on the course to introduce myself to any gods that might be, kicking about. I didn't find any gods. What I did find was my wild boar, because he's a very strong masculine energy, and he came through in the course and has been with me ever since. Very, very strong masculine energy, warrior energy, strength, courage, all of that real grr kind of stuff. And he has literally walked with me ever since, and I am eternally grateful for that. I do work with seagull on occasion. I love the sound of seagulls. It's one of my favourite sounds. Generally, they appear if I'm dealing with a lot of emotional stuff, because I think seagulls in particular are quite linked to water and emotions. I've worked with various animals along the way, horse on occasion for strength. I love working with goats. The girls and I went to the New Forest on Wednesday to meet the very lovely Vicky Bramshaw, author. A beautiful setting, but she has 2 goats. We're very excited to meet the goats. So I've worked with goat on occasion, very stubborn, very butthead type stuff. Magpie has a story behind it as well. Magpie's been with me for a long time. I was gifted, probably 8 or 9 years ago now, I was gifted some magpie wings, some magpie feet, and a magpie skull, which have sat on various altars of mine over the years. I worked with magpie for magic. They are very magical birds. Often when there's been mischief or gossip or a bit of, the stuff going on. And then a couple of months back, I thought, you know what, I haven't seen magpie for a while. Not much going on with magpie. And then Eric the Dachshund got hold of the magpie skull, caught him crunching something. What's the dog got in his mouth? Oh. So the magpie skull is no more. Eric's fine. I managed to get it away from him. And I thought, perhaps that's a sign. Perhaps that is magpie done and dusted with me. From that point forward, all I've seen are magpies. Ness and I drove to Wickham the other day. We must have seen 20 odd magpies in the 20-minute journey that we were. So I think magpies just letting me know that they're not actually disappeared. They're around. So yeah, magpie worked with quite a lot. Various odd bits and pieces. If I'm working healing magic, I quite often call on the energy of dolphin, because they're very good for healing energy. I love whales. Their energy is amazing. They are so ancient and powerful and peaceful. Um, what else have we got? Oh, all sorts of animals. I quite often call in animals for spell working. I will quite often call on the energy of a particular animal for spell working. I do work with Black Panther when I do hedge riding. New Hedge Witch book out soon, next week, week after. Um, 30th of November, online talk about hedge riding and hedge witchcraft. Anyway, when I first started hedge riding, I just assumed that my wild boar would come with me as my guide. He did not. He refuses to go into the other world. What I found was Black Panther there to meet me. So Black Panther deals with all of the other world journeys that I do, all of the hedge riding that I do. When I read the Akashic records, I have a black Labrador that meets me, and he comes with me on those. So I have found that different animals will be with me for different purposes as well. There's such a huge world of animal to deal with, isn't there? I have accidentally turned my necklace round. Thank you. Right, let's go back, and find some of these. Good morning, Tony. Angela, haven't found an animal connection or spirit animal yet, just have my dog obsession in mundane life. You and me both. You and me both, Angela. If I could, I would have a house full of dogs. Jane, tend to work for animals rather than with. At the moment, I'm doing Germaline magic on Sandra. Oh, Germaline, now there's a smell from the past. Sandra is Jane's cat, should anyone wonder. Brilliant name for a cat. Maria. Love magpies, always feel connected to them. Not sure why though, which is magic in itself. They are all of the corvids. Magpies, crows, ravens, they're all magic. They are all mystery, magic, the other world connection. Very, very magical and very, very intelligent birds. Jane, since doing the Magic of Animals branch class, if you are a student of the Kitchen Witch School, there is a fantastic Magic of Animals branch class written by Thea. It's amazing. I've worked with Seahorse to do past life regressions. Nice. Would thoroughly recommend Thea's meditation for this. Yes, if you are a student, go and have a look. It's a fabulous class. I'm still getting used to the controls for this. Germaline. Oh, yeah, I can actually smell that now. There are obviously different types of animals. So let's start with familiars, which are generally in this world. Cats tend to be drawn to your altar. They like to sit on them and push things off, apparently. I do keep altar stuff out of the way of Eric. I mean, I know he's short, but he doesn't seem interested in any of the magic stuff, really. He doesn't tend to join me in any of it. He's not really my familiar. He doesn't feel like my familiar. I don't actually have one in this realm. What we did find when we used to do the open rituals at the Queen Elizabeth Country Park, we'd be doing a ritual in the middle of the woods, and every single time a dog would come running into the circle. Some random dog that was just, out for a walk with its owners would come every single time, every single ritual. May have been the magic, may have been the cake that we had. Never sure about that one. But familiars, I do tend to think, are more in this world than the other. And they will come and lend their energy to your rituals. We did a hand fasting once in Burley in the woods, and several horses walked across the circle while we were doing it. I think a lot of animals are drawn to the energy, maybe. Then you have those animals that are just messages. You might see a particular animal, keep seeing it. It might have, in this realm, might be because they've just got a message for you. Have a look and see what that animal means. Have a think about how it lives, how it works, how it eats. See what message it has for you. It might be that animal is with you for a particular period of time to help you through something. I worked with B quite a lot through the tough parts of my menopause. I do have B as a ritual tattoo, actually, because B was with me for most of that really tough time of the menopause. It helped me work through it, lending its energies. Dragonfly has been with me on occasion when I need inspiration or when changes are going on. So they're all kind of relative, but not all of them will be lifelong. Not all of them will be just messages. Some of them will be just for short periods of time. There's a whole realm of stuff that you can work with them for. David, been surrounded by magpies since I was a child. I love them. I have a spirit of magpie as an ally. Came across her remains and she was an angry spirit. So I said I'd take her remains and bury her in the garden. She had other ideas. They generally do. So she sits on the altar and helps out finding things, spells, and finding information. Yep, that sounds about right. Emma, received messages from crows before as warnings for things going on in my life. They are very intelligent birds. I only had one cat that sat on the altar loosely and one that would join me for meditation and ritual. Bobby, nice. Good morning, Paul. Jane, Sandra's my familiar. Colleen's my Klingon. Sandra's always watching things I can't see, always in our big portal at the front of the house. I think cats in particular, but all animals tend to see things that we don't notice. Well, I'd say that generally people don't notice. As spiritual folk, we probably do. David, I've had trout come to me as a messenger. That was a bit weird. Yeah, sort of swam around me. Very weird. That doesn't surprise me, David. But all of them do have messages. All of them will have specific things. I think it's important to decide whether if you keep, I see fox quite regularly. It's not an animal that I work with, but I see fox because I live on the edge of a city and they've been drawn in to collect food. So I will see them because they are there for purely mundane reasons to find food. They aren't messages, they aren't there as allies, they aren't there for anything magical, they're just there for food. So I think it's important to work out why you see that animal or what reason it's for, if at all. Sometimes they're just animals being animals. And it is about using your intuition to work out. And if you're not sure, do a meditation to actually meet the spirit of that animal and ask them. Maria says, Luna is definitely my familiar. Yeah, cats, I think, are particularly good at that. Dachshunds, not so much. Tony, my animal, is a fox. I think fox is a fascinating animal to work with. Heather works with fox a lot. Heather's bone reading set has got quite a lot of fox in it as well. They are very cunning creatures. They sit, they wait, they are very patient, they are very wily. Fascinating creatures to work with. Ness works with crow a lot. Crow is her main one, and that is, again, very magical, very spiritual, very powerful creatures. But I think it's also important, I'm sure everyone, whenever you do a meditation or when I've worked with students, the animals that they want to meet are bear, wolf, lion, all of the big, strong, powerful creatures. Because, I can understand why people want to work that. But also remember that ant is just as powerful as a spirit animal as tiger is. Ladybird is just as powerful spirit animal to work with as fox is. Every creature has its energy, its power, its magic. It doesn't matter how small they are or how big they are or how powerful they are in real life. The spirit animal energy will be just as strong no matter the size or type of animal. Be open to whatever comes your way. It will be for a reason. This is Hannah. Good morning, Hannah. I think animals are wonderful teachers. There are lessons to be learnt in the way they live and behave. I've always had a strong connection with squirrels. Squirrel is an interesting one. Squirrel I call upon if I am doing money magic, prosperity magic. Spirit is really good because they squirrel away their nuts. That makes them really good for savings and money kind of magic. But you're right, they are wonderful teachers. There are lots of lessons to be learned, and I think that is a really good starting point. If you have an animal come to you and you're not sure why, or what the meaning is, or what the relevance is, have a look at that animal in the real world. Have a look at how it lives, where it lives, what landscape it lives in, how it treats its young, its relationships with its with other animals, with what it eats, how it eats, whether it's nocturnal, all of the characteristics of how that animal actually lives its life will give you pointers as to what kind of magic and energy it can help you with and what sort of messages it has for you. That for me is the key, is looking at the animal and how it lives. Its whole world has messages, answers, hints and tips for you, and that's a really good way to start and to look at how it can help you. Claire, there was a fox in the garden and a magpie chased it out. They are a bit wicked. Not sure if it means something. It's possibly just animals being animals. This is what I mean by thinking sensibly about it, and whether it is a usual regular occurrence or whether it means anything to you. Trust your intuition on that one. But magpies are they're gits. They are not the nicest creatures. But then I think you've also got to remember there is that whole animal circle of life. Animals eat animals, generally. That's how it goes. So bear that in mind, that they may just be doing what they're doing. As I was outside the front door once, I saw a glimpse of a white animal, meditated on what I saw, and it was a snow fox. Snow fox has been with me for many years. Fabulous creature. Beautiful creature. Very nice. Ruby, we adopted a retired greyhound. Oh, such graceful creatures. Shortly after, I was strongly drawn to Ceridwen and knew nothing of her story. Okay. Everything fell into place when I learned of her connection with the greyhound. That's the story of Ceridwen and the whole changing into animals thing reminds me of the Disney Sword in the Stone animated film, where Merlin and the witch and Minerva, isn't it? They follow each other and change into all different sorts of animals, because that's basically the story. Beautiful, beautiful creatures, greyhounds, love it. Maria, hoverflies tend to flutter facing in front of me a lot during the warmer months. They always remind me of fairies. Interesting. Well, let's not go down the route of the fact that most fairies don't have wings. We'll leave that for another day. But it's how you see it and what they mean to you. So what do hoverflies mean to you is the question. Janet, going down the road in 2017, there was a red-tailed fox looking back at me. They are fantastic creatures. Hello. Are you singing? Music.
Sorry, it's a bit late.
Music with my teeth. Yes, yeah. How dare you be working?
Yeah. Talking to Taiwan as you do.
Talking to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a band or something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Carry on.
Karen, have had owl for a long time. Wisdom and knowledge in the other realm, but never in this realm. Although recent meditations have had a myriad of animals coming and going. Been working with pigeon lately. Oh yes, I work with pigeon a lot. Yep, nobody likes them, but they are carrying on about their business regardless. Good lesson to not let people get to you. Yes, indeed. I do work with pigeon a lot. We get pigeons in the garden a lot. I think they're very mistreated. They helped us a lot, particularly during the war. They were used for messages an awful lot. Any Blackadder fans will know Speckled Jim. I think they are very mistreated. I love pigeons. I don't think they're the most intelligent birds in the world, bless them. But I think They bring the same energy as dove. Everyone loves a dove. Dove is peace and calm, but pigeon, they're essentially the same thing, particularly from an energy point of view. I love working with pigeon, and I do feed them as well. Good morning, Jalala. Been dealing with much snow. We just have wet now. Jane, oh, come on, there we go. Colleen was up a tree, a cat, Colleen, up a tree having a bit of an argy-bargy with a magpie once. Two black and whites having a face-off. It was hilarious. Yes, I can imagine. Cat and magpie, two very strong energies to fight with. Like fairy tale fairies. Yes, fairy tale fairies always have the wings, don't they? David says greyhounds, lovely dogs, sleep all day. Pretty much like Dachshunds then. Fairly similar. Maria. Always loved owls. Yes, longer than I can remember. Owl is a very majestic creature, isn't it? And it is, for me, it is wisdom. But you've got that nocturnal energy to it. So I think you've got that otherworld, liminal type of energy with it. Linked to quite a few of the goddesses too. Blothuith, it's rubbish at pronouncing that. Athena, Minerva. Yeah, lots of connections there. Ruby had to laugh. Our greyhound can be like the dog from hell. We were the third attempt at rehoming, but decided to stick with him. Good on you. We love him, but they're not all. Oh, they're not all as graceful. Okay. I've only really known one specifically, and she was beautiful and very graceful. Jalala, we have a lot of J's here. Okay. Apparently linked to transition, the mind, and magic. Yeah, absolutely. I think that whole realm of that family of birds are so magical. Jane, a bee did a big flop and flew back to hover in my face after I'd freed it from a spider web. I think it was acknowledging the rescue, so I said, "You're welcome. Stay away from the webs." Yeah, that's the sad thing, isn't it? I've had numerous occasions where I have found bees caught in spiders' webs. But spider, again, is a very magical creature for me. Spider is all about the web of weird, the web of life, your destiny, your life, and how it's all mapped out. And I know there are people that don't like spiders, and there's that whole shadow animal thing as well. If there is an animal that you really don't like, have a think about why you don't like it. Have a look at that animal and its life, how it lives, what it does, how it eats, how it sleeps, how it does everything, because there may be a clue in there as to why you don't like it. That's a reflection of your own life. Good morning, little Miss Nemo. Good morning, Leslie. Love all birds. Feel especially connected to crow and magpie. Crow and magpie couple come to my garden along with a wee robin. I laugh at the pigeons. I wake up in the morning, they're all lined up on the roof waiting for me. Yeah, they line up on our fence. We do have a few crows. We do have a few magpies around here. They don't often come into the garden. The garden seems to be pigeons and sparrows. Sometimes we have 40 to 50 sparrows in the holly bush beside our bird feeder. And our garden's quite small. That's a lot of sparrows in a small space. But I love sparrows too. They are just as magical and powerful as a crow or a magpie, just in different ways. It's about looking into those energies and seeing why they're there and what they can help you with. Everything has that. It all has magic for a reason. Good morning, Kerry and Ebony. Sunny in Clonelly. Do you know, it was cold and grey this morning when I let Eric out. Oh, we have got sunshine now. But it's quite cold. Karen, Robin is good to work with if you're feeling lonely. They will sit with you in the garden too. Actually, we saw a robin when we were in the New Forest, little tiny robin. They tend to be lone birds, but quite often I think robin appears for new projects, new ventures, new ideas. They are the beginnings of things for me. Emma, afraid of spiders. However, I have worked with a spider in the past. Even have a tattoo of a spider on my hand. Just a small one in a butterfly wing-shaped web. That sounds beautiful. Karen, it has to be crow and magpies. They follow me everywhere even if I'm not near home. But I do feed them every day. Crows now come into the garden as well as a resident magpie. Nice. We do get, because we're near the ocean, we do get seagulls. They don't tend to come in our garden, but they do sit on the roof and shout at me, which I love. It's fine by me. David, greyhounds, nice fact. They sleep with their eyes open. Freaky. Their heart is the size of humans and they can run like a cheetah, not like other dogs. That I assume that's why they're used for racing, which is horrible, but there you go. Jalala recently had a koipu come to die in our chicken garden. Unusual for them to choose to be around humans, but for some reason this chose to spend its last couple of days with us. Gave him a nice burial in the meadow. Oh, that's very sweet. Obviously knew and wanted to be looked after. Nice. Good morning, Anne. Hannah, over the years I've had visits from a few animals: snowy owl, stoat, horse and deer. Robins I always associate with my father since he passed away. I think we do, there are some animals that we do connect with humans, aren't there? Deer seems to be one that is quite strong in the pagan world. Heather works with deer quite a lot. She is linked to Ellen, goddess of the ways. Deer is linked to stag, is linked to all of the horned gods. Not one I've actually ever really worked with. Slight connection because I work with the Calech and she has got a deer connection. But I'm with her, I'm more the wild boar pig kind of connection. Always had a connection to pigs. Love them. Love. It's all interesting. Good morning, Louise. Angela, have really bad arachnophobia, but still appreciate spiders and their work. Whenever I'm gardening, I'll tell them to stay away from me so we can all get on with our business. Yeah, there's that specific time of the year, isn't it? That sort of September-ish when you have to be like a ninja through the garden because of all the spiders' webs. Yeah, it's not pleasant. Jane, I saw a robin the other day. Now I've got a bee in my bonnet to clear all the junk out of the living room. New project. Yeah. That robin it's about new things. It's about doing stuff and starting new things. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. Leslie, I very rarely see a sparrow in my garden. Interesting. But one came into the garden the other day and it chased a robin. Okay. Interesting. We get so many sparrows. I have several bird feeders. I've got the fat ball one. Then I've got the peanuts one. And then I've got quite a big, that sort of size bird feeder. I have to fill it every day because the sparrows eat a lot. It costs, a fortune to feed sparrows. But I'm happy to do so. Emma, I always associate robin with loved ones returning home to visit or messages from loved ones. Nice. Karen, we once had a scene from the birds. No birds on our terrace roofs, but on every surrounding roof was full of, starlings. Every time I put new fat balls out into the bird feeder, we get hordes of starlings. They are like teenagers, bully teenagers. They just whole hordes down, pushing all the other birds out the way. Bless them. And I have 2 robins that comes to me. It's my mum and dad. Nice. Ruby, I got home after reading and while telling my daughter about it in the garden, dozens of crows came out of nowhere all around the house. I read that can be confirmation. Sounds like it to me. Ruby, our greyhound sleeps with his eyes open but also has sleep aggression. We have to be careful. Oh, bless. I think particularly, got all sorts of things going on now. Let's do that first and right. Rescue animals, rescue dogs. Eric is a rescue dog. Sometimes you don't know what they've been through beforehand. It can be quite challenging to deal with rescue animals, but it is a very worthy course. Hats off to everybody and anybody that does it. They all deserve a bit of our attention. Maria, always thought Robin were visitors from spirit. Yep. Little Miss Nemo. There are some animals, birds that I love and love to watch, such as any raptors, but I do return to the hedgehog and have a little one on my altar, not to work with, but to keep me company. Hedgehogs are such fascinating creatures. And we feed the birds every day. Yes, my husband feeds them. Then I looked out the other day, I saw a blue tit. Amazing. Yeah, we literally get pigeons and sparrows and a few starlings on occasion. Never get anything else. Very, very rarely get anything else. Hannah, I wondered if anyone here had ever worked with mythological animals. There's a few in this book. I'm going to put a lot more about them in the bigger book because I think it's really interesting to look at. I have worked with unicorn on occasion. And I work with dragons, obviously, but I think dragon magic is a whole separate thing anyway. Dragons always with me. But I think it is a huge world of animal magic that can be utilised as well. And the story that I always like to tell is many years ago when I was teaching an animal magic class, one of the students had T-Rex come to them, just completely random. And they were quite perplexed by it. This is random. But actually, there's nothing to say that you can't work with any of the dinosaurs. They all have their own magical properties, their own energies. T-Rex is very strong, very powerful, very aggressive. Little arms can't help you make the bed, but each one has its own merits. So yes, mythological creatures, departed creatures like dinosaurs, yes, absolutely. They all have their place. They all have their energy. Jane, we didn't have sparrows in our garden for a couple of decades now. The ivy has matured and thickened in the sycamore tree. They're back. I think we get them because there's a pyracantha there and it's got all the berries on it and they love that as well. Patricia, the local cats have driven away all my garden birds from the feeders except starlings and pigeons. We do get a lot of cats because we are terraced and walled, so there are quite a lot of cats and a few foxes that walk along literally from one end of the terraced gardens to the other end. They don't seem to worry the birds too much, which is good. Fingers crossed. Little Miss Nemo, I suppose the keeping company is a quiet working with. My altar needs cleaning. Altars need regular cleaning. If altars get cluttered up or dusty, or it will block the energy flowing. It's trying to tell you something. Karen, we got a really nice fat ball feeder, but totally impractical. The squirrels just pull the lid off. Oh, they are clever, aren't they? And take the lot at once. They are so greedy. We have this particular bird feeder I was talking about, and it is hung beside the fence, and the fence has pyracantha. We noticed a few weeks back that there were mice sitting around the bird feeder. Bear in mind it's hung up in the air. What the mice had been doing, climbing up the fence and then along a branch of pyracantha that was sticking out and resting on the edge of the bird feeder. So the mice were climbing up the fence, along the pyracantha branch and onto the bird feeder, helping themselves. And they do that quite regularly now. So our bird feeder also feeds the mice. Bless them. Bless them. Patricia, I get hedgehogs in my garden. One used a hedgehog house one summer, but the two here recently disappeared, not using the houses for hibernation. The cats driven them away like the birds. My parents' next door neighbour used to rescue hedgehogs, so they always have hedgehogs in their garden. And we have a new cocker puppy, tiny little bag of trouble, I bet. Any spaniel is. Lovely creatures, but... Jackie, animal magic. Now I've got that tune in my head. Oh, yes. People of a certain age in the UK, they will know what you're talking about. Yes, Johnny Morris. Just leave that out there. Maria, don't mind rats. I don't want them in my house, but I as a creature, I don't mind them at all. Saw two at the woods looking for dropped food, and a couple of people were being horrid to them, which was sad because they're only trying to survive like everyone else. I think this whole, every animal has its place in the ecosystem. There are animals that you're not going to like as much, and people do seem to fear rats. Perhaps it goes back to the plague, I don't know, although it wasn't the rats that had the plague, it was the fleas on the rats that had the plague. But wasps as well. Everyone hates a wasp, can't say they're my favourite, but they are pollinators and they all have their place in the ecosystem. Yeah, everything has its place and its purpose. Little Miss Nemo should imagine that the composite mythological animals, wyvern, griffin, would bring those contributing features, traits. They do. They bring a kind of combination, but they also create their own magic as well, because a lot of the mythological creatures, that's a big word to say this early in the morning, will have their own stories and their own myths with them as well that will bring their own energies to it. Fascinating creatures to work with. David, I found it helps do quite a bit of research when faced with an animal. Yep, because not all correspondence will cover the animal exactly. I have a musk deer as a guide. He joins me when on the other side, but the energies are not the same as deer. No, not at all. There's a lot of myths and spiritual belief written about them separately from other deer. The animal kingdom is huge, and even each species will have all of its individual traits. It's a bit like any of the plant spirits. Two basil plants will have different energies because they've got different personalities. Two deer will have different energies because they've got different personalities. And the whole subspecies thing will come into it as well. Yes, absolutely. Research is your key here. Absolutely. Absolutely. Karen, get all sorts of birds as we have a large holly tree. Yes, their neighbours have a holly tree which hangs over the top of their fence, which the birds love. Yeah. Leslie, I dreamt of lots of different birds. They were all at my childhood home. The thing that surprised me was the baby Pegasus. She was fluffy, black with little baby wings. She was gorgeous. I've never even thought of Pegasus. Another mythological creature with a huge amount of energy and stories and myths behind it. So if you are presented with a mythological creature, read the myths and stories about it. That will give you an insight into why it has visited you. Hannah, I'm obsessed with Little Mouse, your Christmas decorations. Probably should look into that. I think mouse is fascinating. Mouse I see probably every other day, not just in our bird feeder. Our neighbours have a shed at the end of their garden, and I think there's a family of mice living there, and they come through a hole in the wall to feed from her bird feeder. So we do see them scurrying along the end of the garden, and when Eric sees them, he will go bounding out into the garden to bark at them. But mouse, such a powerhouse. Let's have a look. Mouse, let's have a look at this. Mouse. I think it's about thinking about how they live, what they do. Mouse, very, very big families. Here we go. Mouse, apparently one of Apollo's sacred creatures. So I would say if it was good enough for Apollo, it's good enough for anyone. They are prolific. If you see one mouse, you can guarantee there's a whole family of them hiding somewhere. So they are fertility, they are abundance, they are home lovers, they love to burrow, so they have a strong underworld connection. Mouse has some dark myths associating it with death. There might be a plague connection there. But they do actually keep themselves very clean and very well groomed. They are industrious, ingenious, and good hoarders, conserving their resources. Mouse is known to be very timid and nervous, so it might also be worth looking into that side of things as well. So mouse is fertility, abundance, home, underworld, death, cleanliness, industrious, ingenious, hoarding, reserves, and behaviour. All of that in that one tiny, weeny little creature. Fascinating. Maria's nicer to animals. Oh, you guys are fabulous, but animals are definitely better than humans. It's just the way it goes. Little Miss Nemo, we can't get any passing through wildlife in our garden because it's completely walled. So is mine. But you would be surprised. Even the dragonflies fly over and ignore our pond. Our garden is completely walled. It's why we don't get things like hedgehogs, because unless they've got hiking gear and ropes and They'd have to scale several walls to get to our garden. But we do have, we have the odd bits and pieces. Foxes do tend to walk along the walls and jump down into the garden and that kind of things, but not hedgehogs and things like that. Kerry, recently I've had lots of sparrows at the feeders. Usually it's crows, magpies, and lots of tiny birds, but don't know what they are. Plus lots of pigeons and seagulls shout. Yes, seagulls in particular like to shout from the roof. Yeah, they are. Bless them. I did a blog on sparrows. If you look at my personal blog, there is a blog on sparrows because they come into my garden a lot. Yeah, Johnny Morris, Animal Magic for those of a certain age. Little Miss Nemo, we have acquired an unwanted house guest of the ratus variety. Yes, I'm not really sure you want them in your house. Mice, we do get mice sometimes in our house because, again, we are terraced. So the mice run along under the floorboards right the way along. I was looking something up in the book and now I can't remember what I was looking at. Oh, rat. That was it. It's going to be a long day today. Got a lot of stuff on. Anyway, Matt, rat, dear me, it's going to be a long day. I may need lots of coffee. So, rat, sacred animal of the underworld, carrying spiritual wisdom. In some cultures, the rat is also considered to bring fertility and wealth. Rats are definitely cunning and resilient creatures, and although they do like to forage in the rubbish bins, they are actually very clean animals. Did you know that rats actually share their food with each other too? And they help each other out. So rat is spirituality, wisdom, fertility, wealth, cunning, resilience, cleanliness, sharing, kindness, helpfulness, and resourcefulness. So actually, really nice creatures to work with from a spiritual point of view. Jane, my neighbour complained that dozens of pigeons were lined up on his roof waiting for me to come out with the birdseed. I suggested he get his loft insulated so they'd go and warm their bodies elsewhere. If I was late with the bird food, the pigeons would dive bomb me. They are funny. We did have at one point a bird feeder that was like one of the little wooden houses. And we had quite a, let's say he was quite a curvy pigeon. And he actually got stuck in the house. Yeah, it took him some time to get out, bless him. He was a little bit big for it. I am looking up pigeon and my brain is really not working today. I'm trying to work out the alphabet because it's an alphabetic. Oh, goodness me. It's that's not going to happen. I'm sure I've got a blog on pigeon as well. If you look at my personal blog, there's actually quite a few blog posts on various different animals. So if you are interested, do go and have a look. Ruby, had rats in my loft. We put down pots of peppermint and vinegar and haven't returned. Yes, I actually put peppermint oil. I clean my kitchen floor with floor wash with peppermint oil in it because mice and rats don't like the smell of peppermint. It really does work quite well. Karen, we have hedgehogs in our garden. One died a few years ago and I collected her jaw, which I have on my altar at Samhain. Nice. Not nice that she died, obviously, but nice that you have remembered her by having the bones on there. Bones of the animals carry the energy of the animal with them. It is a very nice way to work with the spirit of the animal. It's a very nice way to honour the spirit of the animal. I say her because we think it was a big old light-coloured spines, one that we named Champagne. Oh, bless. I'm going to look at hedgehog. So hedgehog, often associated with the world of fairy. In fact, it is sometimes suggested that the hedgehog is a fairy or even a witch in disguise. Linked with witchcraft, the hedgehog has good and bad folklore superstitions. A lot of animals do. Hedgehogs are mostly active at dawn and dusk, so the in-between times, the liminal times, so they have links to the other world, prophecy and psychic abilities. Hedgehog is probably best known for its defense mechanism of rolling into a ball to present its sharp spines to the world. So that reflects the ability to deal with challenges calmly and effectively. Definitely an earth element creature, the hedgehog brings a huge pack of earth magic along with abundance and fertility. So really, really interesting animal. Good question, Tina, with animal magic. Can I choose an animal to work with, or is it an animal that comes to you? Right. Quite often you will find that animals come to you. There is a meditation on my YouTube channel to find an animal guide. The meditation will take you through, and whatever animal presents itself to you, talk to them, find out why they've presented themselves to you, and if they've got just a message or whether they are there for longer. Meditation is really useful with it to find out why and what's happening. Just be open to whatever comes your way. Take a note of the signs, animals that you see, not just physical animals that you see, but animals you might see on the television, or animal prints on t-shirts or fabric or cushions, or animal jewelry, or animals, in all different forms. Just be open to whatever comes your way. When I do spell working, I do quite often call on a specific animal. That is a different way of working with the animal energy. So as I say, if I'm working a healing spell, I might call on the energy of dolphin. So I'll have an image of the dolphin up, and I will request that dolphin lends its healing energy to it. If I am working on clarity spell, clarity or truth, I might work with one of the birds of prey, because they have really, really keen eyesight. So I would call on their energy to see things from a different perspective and use their keen eyesight. So there's different ways of working with the animals. So for spell working, I would choose which animal to bring their energy in. But for working with animal spirit guides, be open to whoever and whatever comes your way. They will find you. The right animal will find you. Little Miss Nemo. For the mouse is a creature of great personal valour. Indeed. Emma. Snow fox is so different from regular foxes, but they get bundled in with other foxes. Yes, there are similarities, but snow fox energy has always felt different. Yes, and it will do, absolutely. Because they live differently. They have different landscapes and different ways of dealing with things. Hannah. Mouse makes sense. I have 6 children. Oh, yes. That makes perfect sense. Good morning, Naomi. Mouse is my guide, and they also remind me to take notice of small details. Perfect. Good evening, Savora. David, don't forget Ganesha rides around on a mouse, which is a bizarre image, isn't it? Also loved the image of a fat elephant on the back of a mouse. That's actually interesting. I work with Ganesha. I have done for many, many years. He is obviously the elephant-headed god. How I knew he'd come to me was the fact that I saw elephants everywhere, not just walking in the streets, because I live in England and that's not going to happen. But it was elephants on cushions in the shop, or elephants on jewelry that I saw when I was out and about, or elephants on the television, or elephant symbols and prints on things. That was Ganesha telling me he was there. So some of the animals might be indications from a deity. So be open to whatever and whoever comes your way. It just might take a bit of research to find out why and what they're there for. Jane, my son's got a wings tattoo from when he was jumping out of planes in the army. The P&P company stands for Pegasus. Oh, okay. Always associate Pegasus with protection, since my lad got through several war zone postings and came home in one piece. Brilliant. I have several animals tattooed. I have a wild boar, obviously. I have dragonfly. I have bee. I have a dragon. Yeah. What else have I got? Just trying to think. I think that's it, animal-wise. Representations of them to bring their energy in. Kerry loves crows. They are very magical creatures. Very magical creatures. Little Miss Nemo. The damn thing chomped through under the sitting room door and left a big pile of sawdust. This is the rat, I'm assuming. And it pooped on my nice clean tea towels. They do that, yeah. That's one of the first ways of knowing, isn't it, that there are mice or rats, is because you find their little droppings. bless them, or something like that. Karen, all I can see is a hedgehog with a rope over its shoulder in hiking boots and grappling hook climbing over a wall. They would need to do that to get in their garden. They would. David, if you have mice around your place, then you're rat-free. If the mice disappear, then that could mean a rat has moved in. Interesting. That makes sense. I am quite thankful then that I have mice. There you go. Tina, is it better to choose an animal or for an animal to choose me for craft work and or meditations? I would say let the animal come to you. For spell working, if you want the specific energies, pick one. But for general things, for working just generally in your spiritual life, I would do a meditation to see who comes to you. So there is one on my YouTube channel that's an animal guide meditation. But be open to whatever comes your way. It will be for a reason. Jane, we had a house-shaped bird feeder yonks ago. Our legendary ginger cat, Trevor, I do love the names of your cats, used to sit in it with his head out one end and tail dangling from the other. I think he was hoping the birds would land in his mouth. Well, that's a clever idea. Claire, you don't want mice. Well, you don't want mice in your house. So if you do have mice in your house, I do advise putting down peppermint oil to keep them out of the way. I feed the ones that are in the garden. They are field mice, and they thankfully stay in the garden. But no, if I see evidence of mice in the house, I do put peppermint oil down. You don't want them in your house, really. Louise, Rupert has heard Eric barking. I love the names of these animals. So he's off around the garden sharing his excited energy. I'm assuming someone came to the front door. Eric is our portable doorbell. Patricia, trust animals more than most humans. Yeah, got to be honest. Yeah. Jane, they say if you want mice to leave your home, you just have to talk to them and ask them to go. I have done that in the past, don't really want you in the house, but I'm happy for you to go and live in the garden shed. Yeah. Mice. Yeah, it's lovely to have them, but you don't really want them in the house. It's not good. Sephora, my childhood nickname was Mouse. Oh, bless. Emma, does anyone use their phones to add images to their spell work? Yes. I do as my printers throw. Printers have a complete life of their own. They are a complete separate entity from anything else that they do just exactly what they want or not, as the case may be. Yes, absolutely. Your phone is a brilliant tool to use in magical workings, and putting a picture on there, brilliant. And it means as well, if you put a picture on your screensaver, you can carry that energy with you as well. Absolutely. Phone or laptop or tablet, all brilliant for using images. Yeah. Maria, wish programs didn't use animals and insects as bait to scare contestants. Yeah, it is cruel, isn't it? That's entertainment for you, apparently. David says hedgehogs can climb. I'm not sure they'd climb the 6-foot wall. 6-foot brick wall might be a little bit challenging for a hedgehog, though. Louise, I'm assuming that means hares. I presume a lot of people see hares everywhere. A few years ago, we had a few holidays in Norfolk, and I loved watching them. Since then, I have been attracted to and bought lots of hair-embellished jewellery or houseware. Do you know, I've only ever seen a couple of actual hares, real hares, out in the wild. Plenty of rabbits. Not so many hares, but they are very magical creatures because, of course, they are connected to the moon. So very, very strong connection to witchcraft because of their moon connection. Yes, I thought so. Leslie, just adopted a pup. She's a Chihuahua Dachshund mix. Oh, bless. Looks just like a Dachshund, though. I'll get her in a few weeks. Never really wanted another pet, especially a pup, but I saw her and something just clicked. I had to have her. Met her now and it was complete love. I'm guessing it was just meant to be. Only days before I was speaking out loud to the trees. I talked to them every morning on my way to work. I said, I feel like there's something missing. Just feel angry all the time, so I'm feeling she was sent to me. The reason that we have Eric is firstly because he needed rescuing from a horrible situation. We weren't getting a dog. 24 hours later, we had a dog. But he was my menopause dog. I guess still is, really. To help me through the menopause and to give me something to focus on. So we saved each other, really, I guess. There are so many animals that need rescuing. If you are looking for a pet, do please go to the rescue places first. They are overflowing with, particularly dogs and cats, they are overflowing with it at the moment. Please, please go to rescues to get them if you are in a position to help. Sephora. Merlin, our large white cat, brings in mice and plays with them, but has several times lost them under his chesticles and fallen asleep. The mouse then makes a run for it. Oh no! Cats do like to bring mice into the house, don't they, as gifts? Little Miss Nemo. Do like moon gazing hare figures. Have a couple. Hares are quite wonderful to watch in the wild. They are. Only seen them a couple of times, but it is too. Absolutely. Nita. Yeah. Mugs, pictures, paintings, plates. Love hares. They are very magical creatures. But wow, I've just noticed we've done an hour already. Where did that time go? I'm hoping today will go quite quickly. I've got so many things on today. Wow. So thank you. There are, if you're interested, that's an introduction to animal magic. There are lots of posts on my personal blog about various animals. There's animal guide meditation on the YouTube channel as well. So do have a look at that if that interests you. Keep an eye open to see what animals come your way, and then do your research about them. It is a fascinating area to work with, absolutely fascinating. So enjoy your animal connections. 30th of November, Hedge Witch and Hedge Riding Talk. Free, open to everyone, to celebrate the launch of the Hedge Witch book. So do join us for that. If you are around and local, 15th of December, myself and Ness are doing readings at the Yule event at Raw Eden in Wickham. There is a free 2-hour full moon ritual and workshop, Sunday 15th of December as well, in the evening, online, open to everyone. As always, details of all the events are up on the websites. I'm doing a talk on the Cailleach on 3rd of December in the evening for the College of Psychic Studies. Details of that are on their website and on mine. Lots going on. So, yeah, keep an eye out. See what animals come your way. And I will see you all next week. Take care, everyone.